Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Team Training Tuesday. Today is the 14th of June, and we are halfway through the year. It's very cold where I am, and I hope that it will begin to warm up. However, this evening, we are having another look at men's health, basically because June is designated as Men's Health Month, as it is designated for the youth and all matters pertaining to the youth. Last week, we had a session on the youth. Today, I want to focus a little bit more on the men and specifically to find a way to use what we have for stress, anxiety, and depression. So that acronym SAD spells SAD. And you'll see that again very soon. But stress, anxiety, and depression are issues that so many people grapple with, not just men. So this presentation in another series on applied NeoLife is not just for men, it's for everybody. My name is Essa Zanambasi. I'm a medical doctor by training, and I have one of my crusades or missions, Healthier Men for a Wealthier Nation. The name of my brand is Simply Healthier, and we are on a mission. My mission is fueled by NeoLife, and I have aligned myself with NeoLife's mission to make the world a healthier and happier place. I hope all of you are on that same page. So let's get started. You know, there is a misconception that men are tough and are expected not to show pain or emotions. And if there is anything that has caused a lot of grief, it's that misconception. As a result, they tend to get help very late because they stew with whatever the problem is until it is late with complications, or else that is how men have been socialized. And then over the last few years, we have seen more and more lifestyle diseases, and one of them is infertility as well. But specific to men, we've seen an increase in prostate disease and cancer or benign prostatic hypertrophy. And we also see or hear of complaints of erectile dysfunction, which is actually one of the signs of poor cardiovascular health. Now, here's another acronym, standard, you can call it African diet, or in this case, standard North American diet, the SAD diet. Very similar in South Africa as well, as modernization, so-called modernization has happened. A lot of people have moved away from their traditional foods and have adopted the culture of fast food. So the World Health Organization and the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, said a report in 2020, which is about 2 years ago, that 3 out of 4 deaths would be caused by chronic lifestyle diseases. So that is not a good statistic whatsoever. Then chronic lifestyle diseases, there they are. Cardiovascular diseases, chronic lung diseases, diabetes. Diabetes is on the up and up, cancers, and then neurological and mental diseases. And as I usually like to do on these applied NeoLife sessions, is to approach it from a totally different angle. I like to throw curve balls, and that's what I'm going to do today. So, a few definitions. Stress, it's the body's response to physical, mental, and emotional pressure. It causes chemical changes that can raise the blood pressure, the heart rate, and blood sugar. Stress causes feelings of frustration, anger, anxiety, and depression. It can also be due to normal life activities and or events, specific events such as trauma or illness. Now, in the long term, stress may lead to mental and physical health problems. Okay. So we shouldn't underestimate the impact of stress. Then anxiety, it is described as feelings of fear or dread and uneasiness that occur as a reaction to stress. It may manifest with sweating, muscle tension, restlessness, rapid heartbeat, grinding of teeth at night, things like that. Then anxiety that is extreme over time may be a sign of an anxiety disorder. It can be termed as an anxiety disorder, but I'm sure it starts and builds up. Then thirdly, depression. Depression is described as a mental condition marked by ongoing feelings of sadness, despair, loss of energy, and difficulty dealing with normal daily life. Depression may also manifest with other symptoms, such as feelings of worthlessness and hopelessness, loss of pleasure in activities, changes in eating or sleeping habits, and thoughts of suicide or, dire thoughts like that. Depression can affect anyone, so it isn't assigned to specific people. It can affect anyone. However, the good news is it can be successfully treated as long as there is support and a supportive safety net from family and communities. So as families and communities, we need to be aware and always on the lookout for signs and symptoms of depression. Most people who suffer from depression tend to avoid being with people, and that obviously is something that we need to be on the lookout for. So, welcome. Let us explore and learn. As I say, I'm going to approach all this from a totally different angle that I find fascinating personally. So that's why I put these little posters here. Old ways want to open new doors. We need to look at new ways to open new doors. And an old African proverb goes, if you wish to move mountains tomorrow, you must start by lifting stones today. And obviously, to arrive at a place that you call success, it occurs when your dreams get bigger than your excuses. And that's what we hear in this opportunity and this family that we belong to called NeoLife. Now, let's just quickly again touch on the causes of health challenges generally. Mainly poor lifestyle choices, such as convenience, so fast foods, this very fast-paced life, that leads to dietary deficiencies, and they should not be underestimated. And then lack of exercise, and then exposure in the household to toxins, household toxins, or if you're working in an industry, there might be a lot of toxins there too. And then now, over the past, it's coming to 3 years, there's been an increasing reliance on technology. We love it, but I have to say that, yes, that exposure to blue light leads to stress developing because of reduced quality of sleep and rest. So we just have to be aware of all those causes of health challenges. So now I want to discuss the role of epigenetics. And what are those? Epigenetics, you've heard it before in previous presentations and trainings. So we want to ask ourselves, what factors lead to gene expression and manifestations of depression and other mental diseases? You will eventually see that because we are one, you are one unique individual, that these factors might unveil other things apart from just depression and mental diseases, but today, anxiety and stress. And so I want to introduce to you the concept of methylation. Methylation is really carbon metabolism or carbon chemistry, and that's how we exist. Yes, we have quite a lot of carbon in us, literally, yeah, that's one of the big components of our tissues, and combinations of elements forming molecules, which in turn form microscopic cells. That's what we are made out of. We are made out of an estimate of 73 trillion cells, which form organs. And then those organs form systems. For example, the digestive system, the respiratory system, the cardiovascular system, the skin is a system. And ultimately, we have the body, us, as a person. So methylation, that process, it is the transfer of CH3, so 3 hydrogen atoms attached to a carbon atom, and that is a methyl body that is transferred. And that happens over 1 billion times per second to make millions of chemical reactions to happen throughout the body at a cellular level. Okay, so, you know, when we hear that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, you'd better believe it. You'd absolutely better believe it. And I hope this particular teaching is going to make us realize our responsibility to ensure a process like methylation carries on unhindered. Otherwise, the consequences are quite severe. So methyl groups that are described as the CH3, 1 carbon, 3 hydrogen atoms put together, are donated to other molecules, causing changes in the body's chemistry. So it is almost like a currency that is used to cause chemical reactions to happen. And so these will either activate or inactivate processes, okay? So with that introduction, I hope it isn't too complicated, but I want us to get down to that level for the reason that by understanding things at a cellular level, which NeoLife has always been the forerunners of as regards nutrition, we'll get to understand what is going on. So methylation is carbon metabolism that creates life. And remember, within the cell, we have DNA, which looks beautifully like that. I think that was an artist's impression. So where does methylation happen? It happens in the genes with DNA and RNA. It happens with neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are those chemical messengers that convey messages in between nerves. It happens with hormones. It happens with neurons. Those are the nerve cells. It happens on the cellular membranes and the receptors and the way they signal to each other. By the way, there is always cell communication, okay? So methylation is happening between the cells. It happens in the immune cells, and if it fails, then the immunity begins to fail. It happens with enzymes. Enzymes are those catalysts that we require for biochemical events to happen in our bodies. And then it happens through protein. So throughout the trillions of cells that make you up, there is methylation happening. So I hope with that you understand and we can all begin to grasp how important this is. Why is methylation important? There you go. You know, conventional medicine that I was trained in, and as we know it, this is how it works. Receive a patient, label the disease, in other words, make a diagnosis, and then listen carefully to what symptoms are being presented and then suppress them with a variety of medications. On the other hand, methylation cycle optimization. That sounds like a long word. It sounds very complicated, but when we get down to the basics that I like to get down to, methylation cycle optimization works out to be a very efficient way to greatly improve health and mental well-being. So let's just go on. This becomes more intriguing. So what are methyl donors? Methyl donors are those nutrients that are important for ensuring ongoing methylation. And I'm beginning to give you clues and clues, because for a healthy heart, you need methylation to be working optimally. All right, so I like to throw in a few posters. Learn to let go of your past. That is crucial when we are dealing with stress, anxiety, and depression, because your past doesn't determine your future. Yesterday is history, but tomorrow there is so much to look forward to, and it's a mystery. Now, the question now becomes, what happens if I do not methylate well? Yeah, what happens if the methylation process and the cycles of methylation are not working optimally? For a start, DNA and RNA, that is the genetic material within your cells, the expression is altered, leading to chronic disease, and it might even lead to cancer. The neurotransmitter imbalances will lead to psychological conditions and neurodevelopmental abnormalities or delays. And then thirdly, the body's inbuilt or inherent detoxification processes are impaired, which then results in a buildup of toxins, either from within, from the body's workings, the cell's workings, and accumulation from without of environmental toxins. So that's what would happen when methylation, if one cannot methylate well. So there are all these questions that I want us to think about. Well, what regulates methylation is the presence or absence of required vitamins, cofactors, and methyl groups. And we've just looked at some donors of methyl groups. We've got them in our diet and in our supplements. And then also, another thing that regulates methylation is the buildup of any substrates, in other words, of any metabolites or of too much of something that is built up because the body cannot detox it. It will lead to what we call negative feedback. It will stop the methylation happening because there is now too much of it. And if you remember, when I discussed the hormonal issues, particularly giving external hormones to solve a problem, the body's intelligence, once you give an external hormone that is not natural to the body, will say there is too much of this. Right? I think we were talking about testosterone that time. So the natural production of testosterone will stop. That's what we call by negative feedback. And then what else regulates methylation? Build up of those substrates, the production of metabolites and all those other things that are happening in the cell. Once they build up, the body may be forced to look for alternative pathways, which make it use something that is not naturally used, which may cause harmful end products. And as we've said, if methylation is faulty, cancer can happen and other diseases can happen. So this is quite a big topic. I'm sort of like just touching the tip of the iceberg, but I also wanted to conscientize all of us. So what are the cofactors that we need? Minerals are among them. Important cofactors for efficient enzymatic function. Remember, methylation happens with enzymes. So I'm going to start throwing in the things that we actually need. Zinc is very, very, very important. We've all known that, we've all discovered that. We all now know that to help the body's immune, zinc is important. So these are pictures of some of the minerals that we have. We also have magnesium, which is very important. Now, question, how does the methylation cycle become impaired? Okay, just bear with me on this one. I won't take too long on it, but we have what we call genetic mutations, okay? Mutations in the genes called single nucleotide polymorphisms, or SNPs, that is SNP. Within the genes that are responsible for production of needed enzymes. So that is how it can become impaired. This leads to reduced efficiency and the slowing down of the entire methylation cycle. And when that happens, obviously, if it is to do with stress, anxiety, and depression, then one cannot deal with those situations as efficiently, and they build up, and that's how they come to be. The other reason is deficiency of methyl donors. In other words, if you're deficient in vitamin B complex, which has folate, okay, and which has vitamin B12, those are powerful methyl donors, B6 as well, then Peter, I will put you out of the room if that happens again. Sorry, guys. It actually damages my recording, yeah? Okay. Deficiency of methyl donors, like vitamin B complex, and then lack of other vitamins and minerals needed, causing low enzymatic efficiency, and then environmental toxins. That is another very, very important way how the methylation cycle becomes impaired. And another very, very important way is medication interactions. So I hope all of you are thinking on these things. So, okay, lifestyle modifications that will help for sure is to try and eliminate toxins that you can eliminate, such as smoking, drinking alcohol. It has been shown that alcohol is a very, very powerful destroyer of the methylation cycle. And then eat a healthy, balanced diet, reduce weight and maintain ideal body mass index. You have heard on several occasions my explanation of weight as a sign of inflammation and as a sign of walling off toxins. And then exercise, that actually enhances methylation. Manage stress, that's what we're talking about. And supplement with good quality whole food supplements. We're still talking about them. So in short, inflammation hampers methylation, which damages a lot of bodily processes and will lead to stress, anxiety, and depression. So now, how does methylation apply to stress, anxiety, and depression? It's important in formation of neurotransmitters. Here are the neurotransmitters of note used in stress, anxiety, and depression. They are required to help the body to cope with those situations. Adrenaline, noradrenaline, dopamine, serotonin, and melatonin. Last week, you might remember I mentioned melatonin specifically required for good restful sleep, but it is also a very powerful cellular antioxidant. So imbalances caused by an impaired methylation cycle can lead to symptoms such as insomnia, such as anxiety, such as depression, exactly what we're talking about now. Another place where it is required, very, very important, for myelination. You are asking, what is that? This is the coating of nerve cells that we call neurons with myelin protein. So the proteins are coating the nerve cells and thereby stabilizing those nerve cells and enhance electrical signal transmission. Methylation of amino acids is key in the production of these proteins, but if it does not happen, it's very much like, for those of you who are very clear about electricity and may have qualifications in electronics, electricity, electrical engineering. If you have a live wire which has no insulation, you're going to run into all sorts of trouble. There'll be electric shocks. There might even be sparks that can start a fire. That's what we are talking about here. So impaired methylation can lead to demyelination disorders, such as multiple sclerosis. And I am so sure that even what we see as the time goes on, such as Alzheimer's and other dementias, are actually demyelination disorders, which then become covered with a lot of inflammatory cells. Studies have shown that, yeah? So that's where it starts off as stress, anxiety, depression, demyelination, and then there's a lot of collateral damage thereafter. Then another important area is in energy production. Methylation is important for production of CoQ10 in the cells and for mitochondrial fatty acid oxygenation. And remember, in the mitochondria is where oxygen and nutrients meet to create energy. Okay, so if there is no methylation happening, that process won't happen. And you might all remember that as aging happens, there's a drop in the production of CoQ10 by the cells. And maybe one needs to look at supplementing. So when impaired, as regards this methylation, chronic illness, chronic pain, chronic fatigue syndromes will occur. And there's a good picture of CoQ10 that we have as NeoLife. As you can see, it helps to reduce muscle pain associated with certain medicine use. And those are the medicine interactions that we touched on. It helps to promote optimal cellular energy. It boosts energy and stamina. It supports heart health, very, very important. Supports cognitive health. Now that is what we are talking about. And it also supports healthy vision and hearing. So this is all to unveil the supplements that we have and to give you some appreciation, especially for the guests. You might think that, oh, when I get a symptom, then I will run and they will give me the right thing to fix it. No, that's not how we work. We actually are into prevention. So now I'm going to discuss quickly what Nutrigenomics is. And if I'd had my own way, I probably would have gone in these kinds of studies, because my dream would have been to do physiology and biochemistry and nutrigenomics and things that actually bring real results. But anyway, this is the study of nutrients. I'll start again. Nutrigenomics is the study of nutrients on gene expression and the influence of genetic variation on nutrients. So it works both ways. Very interesting. And why we bring it up now is that what you need to always remember is that you are what you eat. And the reality, the real reality, is that 75% of all chronic diseases can be prevented if we choose what we put in our bodies correctly. Now, NeoLife has been at the leading edge. It has been using ever since its start in 1958, pharmaceutical grade supplements. We also know them as nutraceuticals. And these, all of you can have testimonies, and this is what I'm talking about. These can often unfreeze biochemical reactions to restore and enhance optimal health. And people get surprised that this is really weird. You know, when I gave somebody vitamin B complex and treonine and some omega, suddenly when they couldn't walk, they started walking because that pain went away. We've heard testimonies like that, and it is very, very exciting. I just want to assure you, and especially if you're a guest, you are in the right place at the very right time. So I want to introduce you to our scientific advisory board. The founder of this board was a top toxicologist and pharmacologist. He was also a cancer researcher. He was the founder of oral chemotherapy. So he put together scientists who have followed the blueprint of nature. Their ethic is based in nature, backed by science. And so you can be sure that there will be no interactions with medications because this is based in nature. Like that, human natural nutrition. And that's the food pyramid. But they were the pioneers of cellular nutrition, and treonine was the flagship and remains the flagship product. So when in doubt, always start with treonine, but I'll show you how it is combined with other things. But treonine allows for the cell membrane to become permeable to nutrients and to allow waste out. Remember, I've talked about challenges that will stop methylation, which today is the thing that we are studying. Okay, then those are our core nutrition. We strongly recommend all 22 amino acids that we have in our core nutrition. And of course, now we can look at the Pro Vitality in detail, which gives you treonine. It gives you omega-3 salmon oil plus. It gives you an antioxidant to protect these oils, as well as to enhance the immune system. And then it gives you the cofactors that I talked about, vitamins and minerals. Very, very important for the functioning of that process that I've chosen to talk about today, which is called methylation in relation to stress, anxiety, and depression, but in relation to the whole body health. Then I want to promote this in this month of men's health. Daily Vitality Pack is brilliant, brilliant. And for those men who really want to take good care of themselves, I would add this to the Pro Vitality. It has in it 2 Formula 4, 1 multi-mineral, vitamin B, C, and E. It's a brilliant combination and it works amazingly for what we are talking about because it has the vitamin B, it has the multi-mineral, it has everything that one needs to prevent challenges of methylation. Okay, please keep yourselves muted. Okay, all right, so that's a good pack. And if anybody is thinking of a gift, if you can gift somebody for Father's Day, which is coming up this Sunday, this would be an amazing way to introduce it, or get them to buy it if they can. Then when we think about inflammation, it is so important to control blood sugar levels. And this is a brilliant product. Remember, inflammation is one of the things that can hamper methylation and therefore lead to all sorts of mental health challenges. Then we have this for stress. It soothes away stress while energizing and promoting digestive comfort. It is refreshing, it is naturally flavored, and it has very few calories or kilojoules per serving. So that's something else to consider. And then, of course, because we're talking about men this month, masculine herbal. It promotes vital male balance. So we have some mentors, and I happen to have been at this event where both of them were doing a session. These mentors have taught us that you will never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine. I agree totally, and that is how to overcome stress, anxiety, and depression as well. This is a picture of the areas that you need to set goals in. You can look at it again. And one of the things that I would like to emphasize is please detox your environment. Please. It's so important to not hamper your methylation cycles in your body because of toxins that you're buying from the shops. And that goes for the washing powder as well. You're going to save a lot of money, and you can use it by hand or in a machine if you machine wash. I do both hand as well, and I'm now sure that I'm not adding chemicals into my gut. Very, very important. Then finally, we have a detox program. Good to regularly detox, to remove all those things that accumulate from without as well as from within. So thank you for this. Never give up. Great things take time. And that goes for building our awesome business as well. I will stop sharing and invite anybody who has questions. But because of the quality sometimes of the sound, I'm going to stop recording. We won't have a recording this time. Thank you.